They
cost was less than $300 for an 8-channel, and I used to run off a 9-volt battery.
so we do have microphones. Let me mute this since we're live.
Workshop.
Oh yeah, I'll get with her tomorrow.
So we can go ahead and we've got 3 folks, so we can go ahead and that's a workshop, but we'll be able to do that. Maybe the other folks will join us, but I don't want us to get delayed getting started. So if everybody can please rise, and we'll go ahead and do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. All right. So again, show 6:30. Getting started. Appreciate that, all of us. Go ahead and do that. So this is the notice of budget workshop. The City Council, City of Lytle, Texas will hold a budget workshop on Wednesday, July the 6th, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. at Lytle City Hall for the purpose of discussing the 2022-2023 budget. So I know last time, thank you for those of you that are able to join us both in person and electronically, be able to participate. I think it was very, very good. We got a lot of big picture stuff. We had each department go ahead and give us a chance to be able to see if we had any other items that we need to take care of. But we got a lot of good feedback. And then, of course, our experts started jumping into it and trying to figure out some things. Because the main purpose is for us to go ahead and see what actions do we need to take care of here in the near future so we can align ourselves with the opportunity to do the right thing for our community and make sure that we take care of them. Because it's obvious that we are behind on certain funding, and we need to make sure that we kind of align ourselves to where we're at right now, especially with the cost that we're currently absorbing to take care of our city, and we're doing it appropriately. So, Matt, I'll go ahead and turn it back over to you and Lynette, and then go ahead and help us out with this.
So I'm going to cover, I just updated these two documents. The one that has the red and green across the top is our timeline. And then there's a staple sheet that goes along with it. It says at the top 2022 tax and budget deadlines for city populations of less than 30,000. I took what all this says and put it in a quick kind of cheat sheet here for us. There was a typo in the last one. I had a date out of order, so I fixed that for you. What I do want to cover is I misspoke when I talked about the red side. If we have to go above what the tax calculation worksheet says is our effective tax rate or our voter approval rate, if we think we're going to have to go above that, we have to speed everything up. The key is we also must order an election for the November ballot. I can tell you, my opinion is we don't need to do that. We need to stay below that rate. We need to get right up to as close as we can of probably that voter approval rate like we did last year, like we've done for many years, but not exceed it. Because if we go to the voters, I'm not sure that past that with everything else going on, right? We've got a bunch of things. I think they understand we have to operate as a city and taxes have to go up some, but we don't want to try to go above that because if it fails, then we drop down even lower and we're going to lose even more money. So, but anyways, that's the same form I covered last time. I just wanted to give you the corrected versions. If you want to read, there's a bunch of reading you can do. It explains that all to you. I think Lynette and I are staying, it's easier on the city and us if we stay on the green side. It gives us time to work. We get that certified value in by the 25th from the appraisal. We can get the tax calculation worksheet, and we can really sit down and build a true, what we believe will be the budget for the city, present that proposed budget, and then we can go and work some changes kind of there. Let's talk, before we get into the big numbers that Lynette's provided us, and I'm going to work through those with Lynette here, and she's going to make corrections to me, because I guarantee I will mess some things up. First, if we'll go to this sheet that's got the different colors on it, it talks about our utility rates. Several things I'm going to cover, and I did not adjust or do the calculations on the per gallon, how we get that breakdown on the water from 3 to 10, how those numbers work out. But down at the bottom, you'll see in the green, everything in green is our current rate that we charge today, and what that generates based off just the current bottom tier kind of rates. That's what we're going to bring in if you don't use much water. So where we're not doing bad, we're also way behind the times. We're behind the curve from everybody else in the water section. So if you look up there where it says current water, it says 2019. That's the last time our water rates were changed. We've had a lot of changes in the city and a lot of increased costs to the city. So we've got to, again, be able to do our job without taking losses every year. So I worked out several things. We're gonna go just water first. I worked out several numbers throughout there. The numbers next to that in town and out of town is how many accounts I got from Virginia that we have. So kind of interesting to look at. Over to the right, you'll see the red where it says water connections with no bill. We have 145 water connections in the city where they have a meter. Our public works has to go out, read that meter, make sure it still says, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like it did the month before. It says 0, they pump 0 water, report that back to the city. The ladies here have to look at that, verify it, so we don't send them a bill. I don't understand that. That makes no sense to me. If we have to come out and read a meter because you wanted a meter there, you're going to get a base rate bill. That's what every other utility does. And talking to everybody else around us, there's no other utility that I know that does that.
So that amount that you have there, that 20,000.
At 20,880, there's several that are in the city, outside the city. I said, let's take 145 and assume they were all in the city, and they would have paid the base rate of $12. That's a year what we take a loss right there. That's a $20,000 hit that the city could be taking in that we're not. So we spent money in fuel, man hours, just to take a 0 hit on that. My opinion would be, if you don't want to have to pay a water bill and you don't need the meter, just ask that it be disconnected. If we have a meter, we have to read it, we're going to have to bill you. It's a service we're having to do. So now let's get down to the water, to the 0 to 3,000 gallons. I gave you several options there. Again, we're not trying to make a decision tonight. I'm just giving big picture items on where I think we need to go for the new budget. We're going to have to increase our rates. Several things we can do, but in my opinion, if we don't get to the 20 and 30 on the blue on the far right hand side, we're keeping ourselves still way below the times. 20 and 30, the $20 base rate in the city is still about $10 to $20 lower than everyone else around us. It's still below the times, it's still below the state average, but it's also a decent increase for those that are used to the $12. What I found interesting is when I did the numbers overall, and if we did, let's say we did a $20 base, the out-of-towners, you're out of town, you go to 1.5 times, so that takes you to $30. And then I looked at the gallonage, how up there we have, if you pump 3 to 10,000 gallons, you pay the base rate plus, if you're in town, $1.50 per 1,000 gallons of water. So I just said, let's just raise those 20%. And when I did all the calculations here in a minute, it was a 48% increase overall total. Well, there was a 48% increase in just fuel alone that we paid in the vehicles from the 2019 to 2022. I thought that was or 43%. Just thought that was intriguing that the number I came up with was a 43% increase, and fuel actually was a 43% increase to the city as well. This goes to show you that we're not probably too far off on the numbers on where we need to be. Then if we go down to gas, again, I just took everything. Yes, sir.
So just hypothetical, where do the majority of our customers fall into? Into the 3,000 gallons and below?
I could look at that sheet and pull that up. It's harder. I'm trying to understand these rates and printing our forms. I can tell you the majority of our money that we get when we bill comes from those tier systems. That's what they're called, the tier systems. That's where the majority of our money is coming from, is in those tiers. I can print the reports and tell you how many fall in those. I'm still trying to figure out exactly how to get those reports. I'm learning the reports still too. I was trying to break down each one of those tiers, but it was harder for me to do that. It was easier for me to say, hey, I know how many were in the base, what that base was, and then I could reduce the tiers out of that and put a 20% increase on that. So that's kind of what I looked at when I did the numbers.
I was just gonna try to do in my head, just the difference between going to the 12 to the 20. I know we have the total, but for a customer, how much would that be a difference if they're in a particular area already? So if a customer would normally pay, $60 a month, right? They're in that area. How much would it be based on,
I can do those and break it down for each tier. If you were in, you pay the base, and then if you went, we'll call it, tier 1 to be in the 3 to 10,000, then your monthly bill would be this. And if you were in the next tier, it'd be this. And that'd be easy for me to calculate. I can do that for you. And when if we think we really want to increase these.
43%, is that what you calculated? with
Overall
that
was 43. That was the increase in the base and then a 20% increase on the tier system.
number?
This tier, this base, your figures you got down here, so that's based on 3,000 gallons?
Yes, that's based if you did not pump more than 3,000. That would be your base bill. Of course, when I say base bill, of course you got to add in the sewer to that because the water and sewer come together. Sewer is based off the amount of gallons you pump in your water. So you would get, let's say, a $20 water bill, and then you'd go down to the sewer bill, and if we say we took that to 20, you'd add, so there'd be 40, and then from there, the sewer, if you were less than 3,000 gallons, it would be 50 cents per 1,000 gallons you pumped. So you'd be around, at max, what, 41, 50, 42, somewhere in there, which is still, like I said, really low compared to everyone else around us that just pay water.
I guess the biggest water users are the car wash.
Car wash, ATV, those kind of bigger establishments. That's where, and like I said, a lot of our money comes from there. We are not in any kind of danger of water pumping. We looked at that. So, well, we don't want to waste water, of course. We also know that we sell water as a commodity, and that's how we fund things in the city. So, as long as we're not over anything or going to get fined, if you're willing to pay for it and pump the water, then
It might cause people not to water so much.
it might. You're right.
Yeah.
It could.
So this is just big cross average and stuff, just putting some numbers. So picture your bill and then add between $25 to $35
Right.
a month.
That's what
Is that what you came up with too? So how do you guys feel about that?
it's a lot for me as a citizen.
I was thinking.
That's on the
15
tiers
and then
though.
you got,
I'm doing tier, I'm not talking base.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is
If
this
you
is the
say-
tiers.
Yeah, I'm talking
If you
tiers.
stay below 3,000, then you're
Yeah,
just
yeah.
gonna get the increase.
So if you stay below 3,000 and you have sewer, you're going to pay roughly $41.50, right? 41.50. You get the base. Let's say it's 20. If you're in the city, you'd pay 20 for water. You'd pay 20 for sewer, and then if you went all the way up to the 3,000 and didn't pump over, you'd add another $1.50.
Another $10 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you're kind of like in the middle, I was just doing a rough estimate based on average usage. That's what it boils down to. So the people that normally are more inside the tier, how much water they're using, that's how much you're looking at, just for water.
Here's what, in talking to our Samco, the people that be here on our signature obligation, talking to him today, or Andrew, his biggest thing is you should not take a loss. You should always at least try to break even in those accounts. And looking at our deal, I think this was the first year that we did not budget sending money from general fund into water and sewer and gas to help get it to make budget.
Yes, we did,
How much do we?
110,000 transfer in revenue, but I took it out, I reversed it, because we put the ARP and CRF in there, so it offset it. But this was, without the CRF and the CFR and the ARF, we would have had to have some kind of transfer.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, so
So
there
we
is,
can't take
adjustment.
we gotta take we gotta have it. We're below the standard across every standard you look at out there. I don't think we should go up to where everybody else is, because it'd be too much of a drastic increase in, year one, but.
What are you seeing, because I know in some of the communities that I was talking to, we're looking at, some of them were like about 40, 32, 34.
Everything I saw was
Minimum, by the way.
30 and above. The state average, I believe, was 42.50, I think is what it
I
was.
was thinking on the basis of it's $15 and next step $20 and top it out at $25. You're still be.
So, and then Cashville, I believe, and looking at theirs, when they did their last rate increase, I think a year ago, they passed it. And some do it where you, for in ordinance for the next 5 years, this is where we're gonna go up or down. And I think Cashville did theirs at 25 for the next 5 years on their base, on the water. Now, the good thing is, we're getting more homes and we're hopefully gonna be more efficient at reading meters. So I think we just evaluate, we can see next year, we can get, if we think 20, see where 20 takes us and then see how we work there. And then I definitely wanna make sure we can keep our utility rates low, but at the same time, we also wanna keep our ad valorem tax low too.
Yeah.
We are across the board lower on absolutely everything we charge than any other city around us. And we have been for years, and that's why we have the draw we have now for the commercial and these residential developments.
And honestly, even if we go at the 20 and the 30, numbers, I think that's gonna be still very attractive in a sense for a homeowner, dealing with that amount based on what other communities have here. Yeah, for those that are used to what we have right now, yeah, it's gonna be a little bit more, in the sense of the things that we're gonna do, but it's still gonna be less.
I think when I was talking to my wife, I was ordering this at home, I was talking to my wife about it. And when she heard what a base would be here, she's like, "Are you serious? We're paying like $75 to $100 a month for water and sewer in the bare met, in the cell system up in the San Antonio area." And she's like, "Jesus Christ!" But it's just, I don't know. We can keep them low. I'm all about it, but I know we have to go up because we're just low. We're way too low on every fee or permit we charge. Like we talked about building code, how that's too low. We're taking losses on everything we do, and at some point, we're gonna have to do something, and that's either allow the housing to just keep booming, 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 and doing certificates of obligation and see if we can roll that. I don't think that's attainable long term. We've got to get the houses in and keep our utility rates probably lower than everybody else, right? But stay on track of where they need to be while we keep our ad valorem down. Because otherwise, we're gonna have to raise something at some point.
Yeah, that was what I was looking at, 25 is talking point.
And that's what I'm saying. If we think,
If we were below everybody else, it'd still be more attractive.
if we looked at, like I said, we're not making decisions tonight. It's just something that me and Lynette can go back and work on these numbers and get you harder numbers on, hey, this is what we're gonna budget for next year's budget. There's a lot of stuff that's gotta happen for us to change utility rates, of course.
We'll be coming to you in the near future, so start thinking about this as he goes down through this. Because we'll probably need to go ahead and help them by giving them a direction of how the council feels, so they can do those final numbers and be able to match up.
So my thought was the base rates on all three would go to 20. The biggest hit would of course be in the water, take it from 12 to 20. The gas would go from 15 to 20, and then the sewer would go from 18 to 20. And then everything that has those tiers in them, just take that 20%, whatever that, it could be, I don't know, 6 cents or 10 cents, whatever that 20% is across the board on those.
So these new subdivisions that are coming up, is natural gas available to them?
No, they don't have natural gas up there, they're all electric.
Okay, so then the majority of the hit is gonna come to homeowners such as myself that have all natural gas.
The ones we
heaters,
have-
stoves and stuff like that, that
we have-
use it.
350 accounts with natural gas compared to, 13, 14, 1,600-ish for water.
How many total of gas do we have?
300, gas, 350. If you look down towards the bottom where it says 1 to 1,000 cubic feet and there's a 350 next to it, that's the total number of connections we have for each one of those.
There's no gas on that side of the freeway.
Yes.
Yeah, there's gas over there, but the subdivisions aren't
Right,
plumbing for gas because most people don't want gas, they want all
well,
electric.
not only that, a lot of the new subdivisions that come up, CPS gives them incentives to go
All
electric,
electric, yeah.
Okay,
which obviously makes sense for them.
okay, so we have 350 total meters for gas, right?
Mhm.
But we're also saying that 238 out of those 350 are not.
So yeah, that's interesting. So if you look at the red, we have 238 connections that, just like the water, we go read. just to make sure it's still zero, just so we don't send them a bill.
So we only have 112.
I'm kind of, the red ones, they're kind of there, but not there, because I'm not sure once those people start getting bills, how many say, just disconnect. Take the meter and pull it, don't come out, you're gonna see a lot of those happen. But these are people that bought meters, had them put in, but because we never charged anything, they just let them sit there. But yet we still gotta go and expend costs to read those. That's my dilemma.
And maintenance.
Well, yeah, there's maintenance. At some point, if something breaks or there develops a water leak, here we are fixing it. The girls in here calculating everything. At some point, they gotta have a new meter, one of the new digital radio read meters. That's 100% cost on us.
We're assuming probably half of those will just
Yeah.
shut their account down.
So I know personally, you save a lot of money when you have natural gas versus electric.
Yeah, we have no problem.
But what I would like to see in your estimates is if we could come up with some kind of grandfather to where, let's say I don't want the meter, I don't want to get charged a disconnect fee. Obviously, if I ever want to get reconnected in the future for water or gas, you're gonna charge me, right? But we're
Yeah.
talking about these that are being unused. I don't want to see any kind of fee go to those customers when we disconnect them. Because in the long run, we're gonna save money.
Well, yeah, if you wanna be disconnected and we pull the meter, we don't have to go read it,
Yeah.
you don't get a bill. There's no bill going to you.
So, yeah, I wanna make sure that we don't assess a fee
So-
No.
to disconnect these.
So let me ask, and I know with James, you have probably clarification, but I get the water meter, and I know that's all internal. But the gas meter, is it us or is it CPS?
CPS would have to remove the meter.
So then the question is CPS gonna charge the city to remove the meter?
I would assume so.
Yeah, they have to send somebody out there.
You're gonna send a crew out to do
So it
it.
might be good for us to get that number, get an idea, and just get familiar.
It's not a crazy, I tell you from listening to everybody talk, gas is about the only system that is a good system for us and profitable.
That's what I'm saying, when you work up your estimates.
But maybe we could-
take that into consideration.
That's all, people getting disconnected, that's all Howard Council wants to handle it. I don't care either.
You know?
My thing is, as long as we're not taking a loss rate in. If you wanna have it disconnected and we can disconnect it and that costs us a whole lot of money and we can watch, I'm okay with
I'm
it.
just saying that if, I haven't been paying anything and that meter's been there, then all of a sudden I gotta pay to get it disconnected. Or pay a monthly fee. I'm not coming out ahead either way.
No, I agree with
As a
you.
customer.
If you want, and overall for the city, if you got it disconnected and there was a cost to disconnect it, and we just ate that
Absorb it.
cost, long term, we save money because we're not reading it after that.
Yep.
So that's, a lot of this is food for thought. There's another page that talks about utility rates, got a whole bunch of numbers on it. That's just kind of a breakdown again. I was showing you the numbers. If you were a water customer in town, if we did 17 or 20, what that would generate. If they were out of town, what that generated. On the tiers, if we went up 20%, what that would generate. There's the non-billed there. So you can see down at the bottom of the totals, let's say we chose the $20 base rate, and then that 20% increase on the tiers. Again, it's a 43% increase on our income on it, and would bring in $283,000 more than we budgeted for this current year. And like I said, we're trying to certificates of obligation for water and sewer infrastructure, and we gotta pay those somewhere, somehow. And we're doing that, with bringing utility rates to where they need to be, and the sewer and water impact fees and stuff like that as they start to come in with these new developments.
The $20 would be based on the third year.
On the third year? No, it would be my opinion that if we're gonna increase the rates, we increase to 20,
Oh, okay, from 12 to 20?
from 12 to 20.
Oh.
It would bring us in line.
So
If
we're gonna go on tiers, every year, raises.
If we do that, then we're still 3 or 4 years behind the ball, and we're still, then when we get to 20, we're still 3 or 4 years behind. We're always gonna be at 3 or 4 or 5 years behind the ball trying to catch up. That would be that's my opinion. I'm trying to figure out how we get, again, going to 20 still puts us behind the times, but gets us closer. And like I said, it still makes us makes us better in those funds, but it's not making us,
So
crazy.
this, and once again, just to make sure that what we're looking at right now is just to be able to take care of the people that we currently have. This has nothing to do with what's going to happen on the other side. So this is just being able to stay with the times of the cost that we already having to be able to maintain our
Current notes.
what we currently take care of. So, in case you have some citizens that might be questioning or anything, this is just for us to take care of us where we're at right now. Okay.
Yeah, because no matter what, if we didn't have a single home, we're still behind on our rates. So,
And keep in mind too, our workers' comp just went up, our insurances just went up, pretty much every single line item on our budget did go up.
20+%.
Yeah, and talking to James today, I asked him, I said, if you had to guess on material, he said up to 40% increase on material, just to be able to fix stuff, not including labor.
So I said, water overall was a 43% increase. It's a 43% increase, just what we're paying for gas. So it's not like we're trying to take a 100% increase when the cost to us is only 40 or 50%. We're just trying to stay level with where we're paying for stuff. On the next page is the sewer. I kind of did sewer and gas right there together. Again, I just doing the 20% base and 20% on the tiers. You can see for the sewer system that bring in an extra, 56,000 compared to where we were this year. It's about 15% increase. And then the gas system, you see that there. It's an 11,000 increase, so a 3% increase there on the gas system. I threw in the non-collectible accounts, the ones we're not collecting now. I don't really want to figure that 91,000 in there because you don't know how much of that would stay. I would think some would, but more likely than that, I think 50% of those people are going to say, "Hey, disconnect me. I don't need the meter that bad." Some may say, "You know what? For an extra $20, I'll pay you for it to keep it there." So on the next page, this is something I did so we'd see what these new subdivisions coming in are doing. So remember, the first year they come in, they're not on our ad valorem, but they're paying to connect into our infrastructure, which is to help us build more infrastructure as we go on. The numbers that I'm showing here that we're using for assumptions is what kind of we came up with Samco when we looked at certificates of obligation. So it's our best projections. We don't know that it's going to stay there. If the housing bubble busts a little bit, maybe it goes down. If it for some reason booms, maybe they go. I don't know. This is what the developer said they anticipate. So that's your rates that I use for the budget, the water impact, the water tapping, sewer. So that total. So when you go to connect a house in our system, when they connect out there in Saddle Ridge or any of those new subdivisions, that's the total cost right now they're paying. Well, starting August 1, $9,000, call it $9,100. That's just to come in and connect to our system. Some of those fees, when you see the budget, we budget, so much for water impact income, water tapping. That's the money we throw in those special accounts that we can then use for infrastructure or paying for infrastructure that we finance out. So Saddle Ridge Phase 6 is slated. They're slated between that and everything else over the next budget year, which is, we'll call it the 22-23 budget year, for 140 homes. You can see that would bring in $1.2 million if they did all of them.
Can we build those by next year?
These are their best guesses at it. Of course, these are all guesses. We don't know anything, kind of the unknown. And then Rosewood, Phase 1, they're slated to do 139 homes out of the 260 in that Phase 1. So you can see that would bring in about 1.26, 1.2 million.
They're saying that numbers going down again.
That's what they're saying. But sir, he knows as well as I, we've all been in line when numbers go down everywhere else, for some reason, ours stay the same or go up a little. I don't know, it's really strange. I don't know how that
I'm
is.
saying that it's gonna be, for the builders, it's gonna be less to build a home. Cost less.
So I think what you'll see is, let's say we do get sort of a recession. People are gonna slow down buying the homes. I think what that's gonna force these home builders to do, because they still need to build these homes to sell them, is it's gonna finally bring those home prices down to probably where they really need to be.
So I had a conversation with Ram, I don't know if you've met him or not. He even said that, he said, if it happens, what'll happen is the builders will absorb their profit that they're making, because they're still going to sell no matter what. And when we had that conversation, it made a lot of sense, because he can't sit on that inventory. So I think the houses are still gonna sell, Paul is still getting a ton of permits with Washington these days.
They're getting ready to be some new ones, I just don't know when for all of them.
Yeah, and it's so.
And they come in at one big boom and do a whole
Right
bunch.
now, if you go over there, we got 67, that's foundations with frames, and complete houses. But we got about 67 that are built, and they just started in the fall.
And just to show you, if you look, well, I don't have it there, on this projection sheet that we got from Samco, they anticipated 69 in this. We're right on track. I mean, we're not far off, so.
Somewhere between 70 to 100 homes, that's what they usually predict, in the sense of a per subdivision. So you can have one subdivision going in another one. So, we could have, you just say the 70, you could 210 homes a year being built in our community. It's all three of them are going at the same time. So,
A lot of farms done.
So Lotto Farms is gonna kick in till the year after. So just to throw some numbers out here. Last year, the current year we're in, they anticipated 69 homes. This next budget year we're going in, they're anticipating 279. The year after that, 560. The year after that, 679. And the year after that, finishing out with 137, finishing out in the 2026 budget. And then if you look at that, I just don't have that. On the far right-hand side, when they're finished, all this is finished, they're anticipating that would bring in an extra 390 million in value to our taxable values, on top of what we have, and that's just the known subdivisions. That's no commercial at all. We met with people today that's looking at commercial that is ready to go. I mean, they're trying to push it fast, so it's here, it's coming. So we need to make sure that we're, I don't want to say striking our tops, we need to make sure we're not overdoing it, so we don't run out of infrastructure or capacity. But I think y'all have done a really good job in what we're doing. The certificates of obligation are gonna be a great idea, and I think now in looking at the numbers, I feel more comfortable being able to make that payment yearly. I think it's not gonna, I think this next year is probably gonna be, sound like a bad person, kind of your tighter gear. If we're gonna have some issues, this would be our first unknown. I'm saying it's my first time figuring all this stuff out. I don't know how much Lynette's done with the municipal side, but it's still, it's numbers, right? But it's understanding utility rates and all these fees that people pay. But once I was able to get down and actually put that, I feel a lot more comfortable about it now. And still be able to take care of our employees and give some raises and give them the equipment they need to do their job. Any questions on kind of utility rates again? I personally think we're gonna have to increase them. It would be my opinion, that we start the ball rolling at the next, because there's several things we have to do with, public hearings and stuff like that. But working with the attorneys and starting the ball rolling on what we need to do to start the process. Again, these are just some numbers that we can do anything the council desires, because ultimately it's the council that sets these rates as a group. So if you would put some thought into it, there's some numbers to look at, put some thought into it, and we can kind of move forward from there, because we got to do it getting into this next budget year, no matter what we do.
Well, I agree that we should keep our taxes down. I mean, we pay a lot of taxes.
And we pay a lot of ad valorem taxes, but again, we're still far lower than everyone. And that's what I want to be able to keep our property taxes and our utility rates lower, but no matter what, we know they got to kind of inch up as we go along, but we're also not throwing them all out of the roof at the same time.
we still have to bring in, a lot of our streets need attention. we're gonna take care of a few of them here in the next month. But we still have a lot of streets that are gonna need help, and unfortunately, the funding for that comes from. So,
Yep.
you know,
So everything that we're bringing, ad valorem, stuff like that, and then as we bring on employees
so,
to help take care of the growth.
yeah,
That's gotta-
we need to start planning, you know, for public works, we need to start thinking about a facility for them. Also, as they're growing, you know, get them a little bit more room, they're in our old city hall. You know, it used to be our city hall. Oh, did you know that? Yeah, so that was our little city hall back there, the public works building.
That's too small.
I know, so, you know, we gotta be thinking about those things that we need to take care of. And just like Matt mentioned, our employees, that we need to be able to hire, we need to be able to pay them the compensation that they deserve based on the responsibilities that they actually have. So there's gonna be factors and things that we need to take into consideration. And this is just one portion of it, along with a few others. I will mention out there, not for this year, but as a matter of record, we need to start figuring out a way to start putting money aside for engineering. Because what's gonna happen is, when we take that transition to go into grants, and we start going into that, the one thing that they're gonna want, like this, do you have the engineering done? Do you already have it designed? Do you have that? That's what gives communities an opportunity and an ability to compete for all that. So we're gonna need to figure out, as we come up with a list of projects and things that we wanna do, that we have that money set aside so we can maybe do one or two engineering studies, so we can have that and have it available, and we know that, hey, it's gonna cost us approximately this, and we have the diagram and everything. So when that drops, and we have an opportunity, we already taken care of that. You can't jump into some of these grants because they want a quick turnaround. And unfortunately, doing the engineering is gonna take you months before you can get anything.
So in the next budget, we're gonna budget for engineering. Because I can tell you, so RFPs, for instance, the council directed to write an RFP for engineering, for a drainage study for, Lakeshore Estates. There's a lot of things we got. So my thing is, let's talk about RFPs. Take it simple, right? The council says an easy decision, like, let's go out for RFPs. Great, we can write the RFP. We send it out, we select an engineering firm, that's what we do. Well, guess what? Now the cost to do that, sir. And knowing what just the traffic impact analysis cost to do, which is a simple one, a whole subdivision or a whole town or doing something big is going to be quite a bit less. So we need to make sure we're budgeting for that. I think what we'd like to say, if we're going out for grants, we're doing things, if we can have some stuff pre-designed and pre-engineered already, it's going to help us and speed the process up on things like that. And then I think we just keep thinking big picture in at what point does it become more cost effective to bring services in-house versus we're paying out. So I don't want an engineer, but let's say, we can bring an in-house engineer and pay him, $90,000. I don't know what they call it, say $90,000 a year for an engineer. Well, now you got that kind of staff. Monday to Friday, 8 to 5, it's doing nothing but engineering work for the city. We don't have to send something off when, something's coming in, send it off to an engineering service or a firm and say, give me a cost to do. We've got all that. That's what we've done already. Those are bigger ticket items, of course. This long range, we got to think about a lot of that things. How do we bring a lot of the services that we're paying or outsourcing that we're stuck on their timeline and bring it in-house? It's more cost effective because what we're doing for engineering services with these developments is a wash anyway, right? We're paying the engineer to do it, and the developer pays us in return what that cost was. So if we could recover some of that, we just pay the hours of an engineer. Just food for thought. That's good engineering we're working on. I'm not your engineer, I'm just giving you food for thought. Which one do you want me to cover next?
Just for your FYI. Just give us an idea where we're at.
Okay, so I'm gonna help with that here. So you got, did you make copies for them? Okay, I'm gonna read off the numbers here and I'll get you copies if you need. So far for the year, big picture, I'm gonna use a big number overall. So currently, when I say we have a surplus of 327,000, but you know, as well as I do, it goes fast. We're we've got other things we're trying to do that won't last very long. Please don't think, oh, wow, we got to spend more money. It's probably going to be spoken for pretty quick with other things we've already got working or unforeseen things that we weren't anticipating. Those kind of big jobs, we can make a copy of it. It doesn't really show you what they for, but for miscellaneous, I mean, these codes in here mean something, right? They want what they run out of.
So my whole point of putting that together was to make everybody see that I had to come up with $800,000 bond. And right now, we're running about, is that 23%, 27%? So we need to increase our income a little bit to be able to make that bond, which goes back into why we need to increase these fees. So even right now, if we stay exactly where we're at in the budget, we're still going to maybe bring in the total profit. I know we're not supposed to say profit in city business, but we'll have a profit level in there of about 300,000, which still won't cover that bond. So we've got to come up with something.
And we got to be able to cover the bond cost and still do what we need next year in the streets and all that. Pay our employees, give them some kind of raise or something, you know. But it's that fine line. Now, I will tell you, I found out on the, we're gonna finance something to government. We're talking about 2 police cars and then a piece of machinery for public works. Good news is on that, if we choose to lease purchase that, our first payment isn't due for a year after we sign a delivery. So we wouldn't have to be budgeting for that in this coming year. The coming budget, we could kick that in a year down the road. So that's going to help us on that. Not that it's a whole lot, but that's roughly $70,000 a year for those payments. So we could get the equipment we need and get moving on it at least, get them ordered, and know that we've got some more time to get that budget. Some more of this property here out of oil packs and some more of those impacts and stuff come in. And what we can free up from,
Anything else pop up from any of our department heads? Anybody, anything else that they remembered? Projects to add to?
I've had nothing official come from any other department yet.
No, nothing big.
Because I know last time we just basically said,
I just had that I need to give computers for the public because some of those have been there since like 2008.
So computers, computers to me, those like
$500.
yeah, that's something we just budget for. To me, when I'm thinking budget wise, like, hey, we weren't like the police cars, right? It's a $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 the roof, for example. Right. That would be something that we would say, hey, budget year, we're going to budget a little more, we need to do a roof. Computers, something like that, I think we can just work that in.
I wouldn't call that like excess,
Yeah.
I would call it normal.
Okay.
So you would have like technology, which I think I tagged in 6,000 for next year. So, alright, that should be enough. Right?
So I think
That's not including the fancy
no, but
chair.
it's good.
Yeah.
The standard.
Fancy chair.
It's good to know we've got those because
Oh, for your fancy chair.
so you say, hey, look, we've got 6,000 in, let's just say, technology, and this year, just where we were at was just enough to keep me going, and I need to buy new computers. Then yeah, we might want to adjust the line item up. You just like you do with this fuel or something,
Or, like even for this year though, you budgeted 10,000. I don't know why, of course I wasn't here.
It could be because some stuff that comes out of technology, like the $1,700 or almost $2,000 just for the maintenance on our software for the library, like the checking out system. Yeah.
I mean, you still got 8,000 more.
So yeah, I think it was net. Look at your budget. If we can get some computers this year, then buy. That's my thing is if we need it now and the money's there, it's not this year's budget. You know, it's any good to push it down the road. So like James, the mini excavator, he had budgeted for 40,000. Well, we know we're working on something else, so that money can push forward, or we can use it in something. If we needed it this year, we can use it, or we can push the money forward to next year. That's part of our carryover for next year, and just gives us a little more of a cushion to work on something.
We might have enough money left over this to be able to put together with that 40,000. Some other area.
We can have a ton of things. The good thing is if we can, like I said, lease purchases and free up some of that capital, so we're not, so like in this coming year budget, we're not going to have $143,000 $100,000 for 2 police cars. We're gonna free that now, it doesn't go a long way, but it's still $140,000 we're freeing up. And then we're gonna budget that out over some time. Just like if you or I buy a new car or a house, we don't go up and be nice to pay cash for it. But when you budget an amount, you anticipate that, and it's easier to budget yearly or monthly in your budget. And it's very common for municipal governments to finance stuff out. So. Any other questions? It's just a quick down and dirty. We hope that by the I'm gonna go over here on this on the green side so I can look at numbers here. July 25th, we'll have the certified values from the chief appraiser. By August 7th, we'll have that no new revenue and voter approval. Those are the big ones. Once we get that in, Lynette and I can go to work building a true budget on what we think we need to be. That way, and I know these are no later than dates, so I don't know, we'd have to look and see when the council meeting is, but no later than August 29th, whatever that probably the last council meeting is in August, and we'll have a proposed budget for the council. So accept and say, okay, that looks like a good budget. But then we'll really know where our numbers have fallen, where we think we can give employees what percent raises, what we're gonna do, figure out the deal with employees like we talked about on these part-timers and stuff like that. Then we just get into publishing, stuff like that this fall, and then move forward. I think we're gonna be good. I think, like I said, I want to stay on the green side, especially for my first year. I don't want to get like go year one because I was trying to pass a high tax rate. Everybody hates me.
But we do, council, we do need to be prepared here in the next few meetings, maybe as soon as the next meeting, and for us to allow, in other words, to give us take action to allow them to go into some of this, start figuring the things out.
So the utility rates really is the big thing. I really individually email me your thoughts on it. I'd like to see everybody's thoughts. It's hard for us to talk here because we can't take action, but email me your thoughts on utility rates. I'm open to everything. I'm just telling you what I saw the average was, and that's why I threw those 20 out there. It still kept us, it got us close to the average, but still kept us below the average. So, let's see your thoughts. We can start going from there. But I think we need to move on utility rates sooner rather than later, so we have it when we're building budget.
So we'll bring it in front of everybody so we can discuss. Do that and take some sort of action. We'll do that. That'll be good.
Anybody have any questions? If you need anything, feel free to email me or call me. I'll get you whatever you need on our budget, show you what I mean. We're open to everything.
What do we budget for the park every year? Or
What part?
all the parks?
All the parties.
It's supposed to be a big park.
Let me find what that's under here. You have it? I've got a whole PDF over here.
I think it was 10,000.
So what part of the park though,
How's it broken down?
for the park,
Yeah.
it's in 100, it's in the one. So. 130, that's 30.
100 out there. Yep. Sorry. Okay, so it looks like
So, happy birthday. I don't want to forget, but I think, Wayne was mentioning we might need to get new marks.
yes, he mentioned a number to me, which is
Maybe five.
yeah. Well, that's what he was saying. It's just getting a little older. I like it a lot. Again, I think in the big picture, we spend money on having a company come out and mow a lot, but our parks guy, if we could get him a larger mower, he could cut the entire park. So currently Wayne cuts just the ball fields, and we pay a contractor to cut the park. I was talking to Wayne, if he had a part-time person that worked, how long it would take them to cut the park together. And he thinks it's mostly 3 days. In the summertime, I mean, once a month, maybe you cut the park. When it's raining, you're actually gonna cut a little more, but again, how can we bring, a lot of things that we're paying somebody to do and bring that in-house? If we can keep it reasonable. But it looks like, say we've got capital improvements on City Park, 10,000, and we spent 5,600 so far. And I'm assuming that's for all the parks? I mean, we have the John Lot, the big park, but then we have the Galacia Park.
Yeah, that one,
That's
last time we did some, we replaced, the right over here, in the big part. They took those out, all ones that we did. I was just thinking it because, that's when we got to put lights on the.
I'll be 100% honest here. I don't think we're anywhere close to getting lights to the baseball field over there. The lights is just the sheer cost of it, and we're just not able to bring.
But I got the 3 bids, one guy came, came and he said you can finance it for, so many years.
So yeah, we can look at, and that's realistically, if we're gonna do ball lights or lights at the ballparks, it's gonna have to do some kind of leasing or financing or something.
How much is it gonna be, Sam?
Well, that was like 2 years ago, it was like, 200,000, around 200,000.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, then you'd be talking $70,000-$80,000 a year payment if we did it for 4 years. Thinking about what we're doing.
Was there any wiggle room in that 8.5 mil for the COs, or is it pretty much already concrete?
What's going through my head right now is that any kind of recreation is covered under hot tax as well.
We cannot use a hot tax. I looked at that. We can't use hot tax to put up. We can use hot tax to put up lights in a baseball field, but we then have to go back and show that because we put those lights up, there was an increase in the hotel stay that offset that cost. And if you can't, guess what you do in your general fund? Pay 100% back to hot tax.
So
That's what we have our tax
so
shown.
we can use it for parks, but I've got to be able to prove that we bring
Like if we
more.
sponsored softball tournaments or something.
Yeah, that's what, we have to prove that we had more tourism, and if they really wanted to pull my hot tax file, I'd have to increase the revenue.
And we have to be the exact amount. I read that on the Attorney General's opinion.
So let me ask this question, I'm just doing hypothetical. So our hotels right now, our hotel is already in a pretty good capacity. So if we do use the how can you show that our hotel occupancy is any higher to offset it?
We wouldn't,
Exactly.
we wouldn't be, so we just tagged it in, was 50,000, somebody came in pretty good.
The gentleman that came,
That's why I told you in the last meeting, we'll find me some more hotels out.
they said you could go up to 10 years to finance.
Who was it?
It was just a finance. We can find a finance company. We can even do something with Lime State Bank if we wanted to. I think we just got to be more realistic on how if we think putting lights at the ball field is what the council wants to do, and we can again, if we're going to put lights at the ball field, we need to have more events
Right.
at those ball fields at night, more tournaments, more stuff like that to get them used. That way,
Because we wouldn't be local tournaments, so I still.
well, if we use hot tax, if we didn't use hot tax and we just financed it out,
Right.
no worries.
But they wouldn't be like what Ruben said, they wouldn't know the difference if we were here for a flea market or if they were here for the park.
If we don't use hot tax, we don't have to worry about showing that we got an increase in the hotel stay.
Well, I
If
can't
the city-
see on this hot tax, right?
No,
I'm still
things we can do with hot tax is we can do things with the Chamber of Commerce. A lot of times, the Chamber of Commerce send $30,000 a year to help furnish and fund the Chamber of Commerce. Now, problem is the Chamber of Commerce is still held to the same standard we are how they spend that money. Chamber of Commerce, they do different things. Now, some cities they hire a person that does tourism promotion and stuff. I mean, they use some of that hot tax to hire a person to go out and advertise the city, really. Because that's what hot tax is for, to advertise the city and get people to come to our city and stay in our hotels. That's the entire design of the hot tax. So we're putting lights up at the baseball, well, the Little League baseball.
So if Little League can ask for it, then we would need to get some kind of incentive, like bringing in playoffs or bringing in tournaments from the Little League, saying that
And we have had that.
they have.
They already had, so we could actually, like, for instance, tonight our team is actually playing in Jordan.
It's a light to them.
Yes, so if we had lights here, we could actually host the Little League tournaments here.
Yeah, people might say it.
Yeah.
That's the way it be.
But it's not just, there's a one part, and then there's 8 other parts
Yeah.
that fall into, it's a 1 and 8. And if we get audited, I've got to be able to prove that the income from this tax went up, but if it's maxed already, I gotta.
I would say for kids using hot tax to put lights up at a ball field. It's like we said for kids using hot tax for fireworks. Yeah, those are both for 100%. Like you said, fireworks it specifically says can't do it. Ball field says you can if you can show us this. I don't think we can show that. That's the problem. I agree when you do something with hot tax because if not, we're just going to keep piling up and piling up and piling up. But we need to be regular.
Those who we work with, we have a lot of opportunities for the chamber to be able to utilize that money for tourism, opportunities throughout there. There's things that other cities are already doing.
Part of the sign,
And we need to take advantage of that. And those are the people that are going to bring us
So that's what we see
in here.
a lot more festivals
And
and then bringing people into your town and they will stay.
we can use those for those festivals. The things that we want to do in the park and stuff like that, we can actually take advantage of that. But we definitely need to figure out the park. We have to figure that out with a lights. Like,
I remember.
This-
Go ahead. That was there today because
so some of these things we want to, we've had a lot of ideas come in front of the chamber where they're asking.
I think a lot of the discussion I heard in the past with doing tournaments is there was a limited talk, and I'll reach out to, I think it was the Texas Parks people that we got a grant from to build the park and do some of the stuff. But there was talk that we couldn't charge people an entry fee to get into the park
Right.
because we used grant money from the Texas Parks. I don't know. Let me do some research on that and see if that is something that's still, it might have been true 10 years ago and it's not.
a public park.
Yeah, it's a public
Which is
park.
not whole park just to host all these tournaments, to host all these games, and that's different than we can charge.
But it was always stressed in council that we can't let anybody charge to do something in our park.
So you can
Yeah.
close all the gates around the park and just to be able to charge them, because that's actually a city park. Anybody can do it. For events like that, I still think, but not only because I talked to Joseph about it, you can never pull a tournament there. Not to be able to charge.
But that's just what, we don't want to shut down the park. If you want to use the park, use the park. The council can say the fields are reserved for Little League during this time. We do that. My thought is there a way we can say the fields are reserved for a softball tournament that somebody is hosting? They charge a fee for a team to come and play in that tournament. In exchange, the city is getting a portion of that for upkeep, maintenance, utilities, and for lights in a ball field. Can we do that? We're not telling you you can't come to our park. All means come to the park. If you're going to come visit the park, you're not going to play on the field because they're reserved because these people have paid for the field. That's what I want to see if we can do. If we can legally do that. If so, there's several things to that. The community center, for instance, we can increase the revenue of the community center. Currently, years ago, if you wanted to rent our community center, you could rent it. We didn't care where you were from. You rented it. You paid the deposit. You messed something up, we kept your deposit, kind of thing, right? Well, they tried to change it one night. The chief and I were here, and it didn't pass. The very next month, we were going to fire marshal conference, and it was put back on the agenda again. And it got passed, only rented to people in town. concept was it's ours, we paid for it, we don't want anybody else to use it. It is designed to rent out and make money. If you don't make money with it, then why even have it? If we're not gonna rent it out, why have it? We know it needs maintenance. Let's get it to make money to do the maintenance. If you're willing to pay the fees, whatever we decide those are, if we keep them the same, we increase them. Again, we need to look at it and see if our deposits are in line with what other places are charging. And you're gonna have policemen that work there. I worked here 20 years. I don't ever remember seeing anybody in all my time here in there damaging the community center we work. So it's the concept of if they're not from town, they don't care. Never seen it.
See, I want to add to that, not because of we used to, the library, we used to charge a fee for people who lived outside the city limits and who lived outside Lytle. And now it's open to the public because we used to receive funds from the state. Well, the state stopped giving us funds. So now were we supposed to go back to charging people, but we've got all the other community libraries in the area. They charge for people to go to their library. So they're line. They usually just send them back to Lytle. And Masterville charges $25 for anybody outside their.
So you mean go to the library? I don't know. You mean just like show up and walk in the door and
Like to get a library card.
Oh yeah.
So like
There's a cost for them to have to produce a library card.
right, and we charge dollars to replace a library card, but like other libraries charge if you want to get a library card, it's $25. San Antonio charges $200 for a library card if you don't live in San Antonio. And it's like so much for 3 months. So we don't want to do that same thing because we have a lot of people coming from outside. I mean, I can give you a list of not a list, but a number of people who come outside that use our library. That's
They're
what I'm
coming
saying.
in, they're
I see that.
requires time of our staff to have to help them. Meanwhile, we're doing none of that cost to them, and our taxpayers are paying 100% of that burden. That'd be like if we said, if you live in the city, you're going to pay sales tax. If you don't live in the city, you come use everything you want in our city, don't ever pay sales tax. And we say thank you, and we're gonna take that burden on for you. That doesn't make sense to me. That's not how we do it.
The only thing I would say is for us, and it's council's decision, but just to kind of keep open, is I would say keep the area of the school district to be open. If you're ever gonna do something where we start thinking about charging or something, maybe include the school district.
Right, well, see, we get funds from Atascosa County, so we don't charge people who live in Atascosa County.
Okay,
But it would be, but then you have people who live in 78052 who are not, they live in Medina County, but that falls in the counties. So it's hard to try to get the ones who are, you're actually looking at zip codes and not
We
counties.
got to start thinking. Zip codes. Our zip code's pretty big. We got to think of what is our incorporated city limits. That is the city. 78052 is not the city. That's just the zip code.
I'm with you, man, but I just say for the library, we gotta consider the school district.
Yeah, no, we don't, we usually don't count people out.
We have some around, but a lot of the kids use our, the school working with the library and everything else.
I think that's something Cassandra can evaluate and give us her thoughts on it. And that's what and by all means, she's the expert in it, not any of us. She may say, if I don't know how legal it is, if you have an income level of this, maybe you can't get a free library card. I don't know. I don't know. What are those options can we do to help?
I'll check with the other libraries, like I can send out a mass email to all those other libraries and they'll let me know what their fees are and they can tell me based on what and I can come up with some numbers on it. But this would be for the future. I wouldn't say like let's do it already, look at it for the future.
No, valid point. Valid point.
So, another part, we rent out the pavilion, but we can't rent out the baseball fields.
I don't see, that's why I don't see why not.
We're already renting out the.
I don't see why, when we're doing these other
How
things.
much do we charge for the pavilion?
Oh, I don't.
Not very much.
It's not a lot, it's a $20 deposit,
It's
and
not-
then depends when I use it, like throughout the day, $25 for the morning or the afternoon, $40, $35.
Again, we gotta have the employee work all that here locally. We gotta have our parks guy or whoever we work, get everything unlocked for them. Turn utilities on, we gotta pay that electricity bill that's over there. There's a cost to everything we do, we just can't be taking losses. Because if we're taking losses on all these other little things, guess what we gotta add? Utility rates, add more tax.
And the see what it's saying, like the user, you can only run for like one term at a time, but it's not gonna be a lot of money anyway. Some people, like, if they don't have an address online, they're gonna ask someone else before them, because they're the ones who don't have the same thing that the community said. I can't access that, as I don't even live in city limits, unless somebody else before me.
There's workarounds, people work around it all the time.
What we could do is, they're gonna have tournaments, they're gonna have to use the lights. We charge,
Exactly, if we got something, let's say we get lights, I don't know, let's say we figure out, hey, a monthly cost to do lights is this much. To break even, we need to collect that much per year, that's times 20 tournaments a year, I don't know, try to figure out what that cost would be to host a tournament.
because it's gonna cost electricity.
It will, we had a tournament, well, we had for Bible youth program, we did football, and we have to use the high school. The high school for one whole day tournament, and we had to host at least once a year. So we did that one, and I think we ended up paying about maybe $900 just for the light itself, and then the rest of it was for the janitor, so it was about $200 we paid for it, just to host one day. That's including the lights and including the janitors.
See, that's, I mean, why can't we do that in our park?
Just get our money back.
So we'll work on looking at rates really across the board. Initially, I think because it takes more council action and more public notice for utility rates, that's probably, we need to work on that one sooner rather than later. Probably the next council meeting have something on it. But then Paul and I can work together in looking at our rates for permits, what we're charging across the board for these other things, see where we need to get. Because again, we're not trying to get this one portion of it. We know we're low on all of our rates. We need to really bring those in line. And then if we can bring everything in line, it's allowing us to still keep our utility rates in our ad valorem lower than the state average and everyone else around. So, and I can tell you, I've worked with some officers at our community center from other cities that rent their centers up, and they're like, I look at them like, man, we got a lot of meetings, we got more changes. They're like, man, this place is nice. It's really annoying. I think we could revamp it, really rent it out, you know? I was like, we haven't cut the trees over there. Sometimes better with the trees, if we can get some grass planted over there, get the fountain working again. God, it's about $1 million, and people would want to go rent it again. Just open it up to anybody. So. It is. I personally rented it. The fire department rents it every month.
We need Wi-Fi.
I disagree. Here's my thing. We need not only Wi-Fi, but we need to put a
We can rent it
dumpster.
out for little conferences too. You can have businesses, you know, if they're having a little conference, they can go in there and use that.
Well, we're still working on. We got to work with Montero. I can see on that price. It was
I know the other day, I was so we funded part. We have some kind of competition.
Best Question has a small conference in the labor now.
So those conferences during the daytime.
If we had to think about it, if we've got a business that wants to have a luncheon and host something, you can go speaker up there, talking, have a luncheon. Police department. I told the chief I wanted to do more training, hosting of trainings here. Where we hosted training, typically they give you 2 or 3 free spots to put your officers in, right? So we put our officers in there, and then we charge the outside agencies a cost to come in. We make money on that. And we're getting great training, and they're going to get somewhere else anyway. Why not keep everybody here local and then use our facilities? A lot of times, I don't think we like to use our facilities because it was a pain to get people to go clean them or get it set up. It's not. I'm here. I'll like to think if I need to. Exactly. You know what I do. If you don't use it, it's worse on the facility or the building. So.
But I don't want us to lose the fact that it is a community center.
Yes, sir.
Community comes first.
Yes, sir.
They're the ones that pay for it. We're the ones that pay for it. We should have some kind of outside. But
So what we have to look at in the way we have a resident, right? If you're a resident, then we have an out of town.
Still have taxpayers. Their taxpayers are way lower the rental than the residents.
Gotcha. So resident doesn't pay, they're a
The
renter.
apartment, they're just renting out there. We did that stuff, we had that EJ and then they just don't away, so it's a little higher than that.
So yeah, if you don't live here, if you don't pay tax, all that changes the rate you pay. If you're a taxpayer, you're paying taxes here, ultimately your taxes are paying for a portion of that maintenance. So your rental fee would be cheaper than anybody else's. The issue we have to run into is if we're talking about, hey, our residents get first priority, well, it's kind of a first come. If I'm a non-taxpayer, I want to rent it, and I've rented it for this date, and I've got a schedule on the books, and then next week a taxpayer comes and says, dang, that's the date I wanted. I don't think we can go, we don't want to include this. I know, I just want to make sure that we don't think we can say, well, our taxpayer wants it, sorry, you're out. Sorry, it's still got to be a first come, first serve on whoever wants to rent it. If you're willing to-
Most part, they usually come like a year in advance and
Yes.
try to put some. The ones that come in like maybe a month before, 2 months before, because they're just putting something together, and trying to see if they can find something here local.
We used to do a
Now,
lot of
we are
weddings.
turning down money on that. I mean,
Yeah, because they call so many times,
Yeah.
like, and I don't remember, but the one truck trailer out here on Atascosa, they call, they want to do a meeting, and they didn't give it to them because they're out of town, they didn't live here, and so we didn't even have to use it.
So, I mean, I think if we're not using it, even if we're out of town, I don't know, I just don't see throwing that money away.
Using it, it's a lot less cost for like a day conference, or somebody's hosting. I mean, you really you don't spend that much on stuff like that. And even maintenance goes along with that. And that's good funding that you can get. You don't have.
That we go straight back into the maintenance of that.
And there's people looking for a place to have parties and, weddings or whatever.
I
You
said,
need to
we
figure
used to do a
out
lot of
something.
weddings.
I understand where you're coming from. We just gotta figure out something where our residents are still being taken care of.
yeah, I know personally, we looked at renting the community center just recently versus my renting the community center in Yoakum, Texas, or like through it was considerably less. And that includes electricity and everything, so.
Where at?
Where?
Sorry, what?
Yoakum,
Yoakum?
Oh, renting in Yoakum was cheaper than renting here?
community center.
Well, we're having a day before my next year. Got rich, not rich. We have to get it like a year at a time. When it was already, so we had to back it up about that. Which we're doing.
We've got weddings and stuff that they book, like Paul said, 8, 9 months in advance.
Like right now we have nothing, like nothing for it, nothing much for it. We had nothing in June, I think one in June, July, August, September, October, they're still open. November's open, December's open, so we used to have, like, someone wants to come in like in a month or so, they're still open. But for the most part, people, when they know that it's usually about a year ahead.
How much of a difference did you see? In this?
The unit that I got was 350 for half a day. It's the second half.
Ours is 600. 600.
$600 is a deposit,
Yes.
but the way to rent it is gonna be, if it's a taxpayer, I think it's $250, if it's a renter, it's like $530, it's 0%.
Right.
So does it include electricity?
Oh, yeah, ours is, yeah.
Yeah.
So
There's
there's
no
just a
extra
rental fee on that, and then if you're gonna need, security, because we'll have security, that's $30 per officer, depending on the hours that you're gonna need it. And once you pay all that and put it in the hole, you get the deposit back.
See, the 350 I paid was straight out. I just wrote it, well, I actually paid cash, but I just paid that one payment, that was it.
Yeah,
They add the officers. The officers fee.
And that was another thing too, we didn't have to have an officer.
Well, they used to have it where it was 0 to
Right.
50 or 100, with no alcohol, then you need no officer.
Right.
But now they make it to have at least one officer.
I think to protect our assets, you need to have an officer events.
we have a Bricks, we're gonna pay $600. They provide the security and they clean up after the clean up.
And here we have to clean up, but Tomorrow had to clean up before I left the home. And to call out trash to my house.
That's our biggest complaint. I
Yeah.
don't have anybody ever complaining they've gotta clean up.
No, it's
They didn't
one
clean
of
up that
my
night, or they
favorite
paid the extra clean the next day. The biggest complaint is where do I put the trash?
Yeah.
Even though we tell them, hey, you gotta take trash with you, we gotta figure out, if we know it's getting rented,
Yeah.
we can get Public Works to haul a dumpster or
I
something
have,
over there. We gotta figure that out.
I had about 9 bags I had to take home. And one part of it, was Stevie.
I've had to,
Yeah.
the chief let me dump them in his dumpster when I had my party.
Yeah, that 350 had everything. It was cleanup fee, electricity, it was all included.
No deposit.
That is,
No, because it was still.
that's extremely
600 is a
cheap.
big deposit.
Now, you said that was during the day?
Well, we got it it was from 4 o'clock on. So that's it.
It's
4 to 8 or
evening.
something like that.
Evening.
Yeah, evening.
We can look at ours and see, but again, I mean, a lot of times the deposit, $600 is, as long as nothing goes wrong, you get that back. I've seen it before where they gave a $600 deposit and then they ran over because they didn't shut the DJ off on time or something. The officers were there. I can't, as an officer, we couldn't leave until the party's over. And we'd tell them, hey, your party's over at 12, we're here till 12:30, you got 30 minutes. The DJ's still playing, you still gotta clean. Before you know it, it's 1:30, in the morning. What can we pay? No, it's just, I'll tell City Hall, they'll take it out of your deposit. You don't need to pay me any extra here, you're not paying me anything. It just comes out of your deposit when you get back here. And then if something was missing or they didn't clean up, then they charge whoever it is to come in and clean up for us, and then we take that out of your deposit and pay the cleanup company. If not, then we have no way to go back and recoup our money if you did damages. And
Because we have incidents where they actually left the restrooms like really nasty and then they had to clean, not that they don't have to clean the restrooms, but it was bad. So we had to take that out of the pocket.
and they've never looked for, knack in it, they're just
As long as
I
it
will
was,
tell you, if there's one thing right now, the way it currently, the city is, if there's one thing that bring in people, event wise or anything, and they stay in our hotels, is weddings. The weddings they do, so.
So we can use hot tax for community center.
So,
Good
so we can
growth.
use some of that,
Good.
We
fix it up, like we need
ourselves
to
out.
make it work, and we can work, yeah. We'll look at it, we'll do some research and see on all this, and again, all this plays into the big picture of next year's budget. And we'll work on it and go from there. The more we can open things up again and let people rent it if they wanna rent it, the more it helps us on utility rates, and keep it low. And, everything we can do over here helps keep the big picture items to our residents lower.
Anything we can put in the general operations,
Yes.
that'll help us out,
That's the biggest key.
gives us a lot of flexibility. Council, any questions, anything else? Anything you do? Anything, department heads, anything? Nothing at all? Okay, well, we really appreciate your effort, Matt and Lynette, all of being able to put stuff together for tonight, just so we can kind of get an idea. Appreciate the presentation, so we kind of get an idea. We got a little bit of work to do here, but here in the near future, just be prepared, stuff showing up on the agenda, so we can go ahead and start taking action. The main thing is lean forward. We can't lean too much forward because we are waiting for certain things, but anything that we can take care of right now, it's better for us to do it because then it makes it easier for them to calculate the stuff. And the sooner they can calculate the stuff, the better it is for us to figure out what we need to do, and we're not in a rush at the very end to try to take care
Well, actually, we'll start seeing some good real numbers once we get through that July 25th date, whatever that number was, July 25th and August 7th. August 7th is that key. July 25th, we can start to play with some numbers. August 7th, we have everything we need to start building.
As soon as, if we can get some adopted, or just, what would help a lot would be the utility rates
Yeah.
and say, yeah, anything.
We can get that done.
Yeah.
We can work on the
That-
utilities,
that would
get
be a
that
big
portion
help.
done.
Yeah.
Then everything else falls in place once we get those dates done. But I
When it
think,
comes to the property values and stuff like that, that's gonna go really quick. The rest of that, there's gonna be a lot of numbers.
I think we'll be able to get the property value and that stuff done probably before utility rates, because of the time frame we have to do for changing utility rates, the public hearings we have to have before we change those, from what I remember. We'll work through legal and make sure we do that
I
correctly.
think, I think what we usually did, Sam, we did, because it's been a while that we've done anything, but I think back then we just did public hearing like right before the meeting. right?
Yeah, I think that's what, but I think I wanna say you had to have two. I don't know why I'm thinking
Yes.
two, you had to have two public hearings before you could change it.
But we did it in a means.
So, yeah, so, and then they have to be so far apart, so
Correct, and that's what I'm
that could
saying.
take us 2 or 3 months down the
That's why
road.
we saying you gotta start now for us to do that, in order for us to be, because it takes that long for us to be able to be tied into that timeline. So, okay, so 7:51, unless anybody else has anything, we don't need to call an action, we'll just go ahead and call the meeting and stop. We actually got done at 7:51. Thank you so much, appreciate it. Good stuff, good stuff. All right.